What's good, man? It's your boy. We're back. And in this one, I wanted to talk about dark side, okay? And there's a reason why I like these videos because, when I get that friction, because I'm sat there, I'm just getting friction, release tension. A good way for me to do that is through these videos. But, yeah, when we're talking about the dark side, something that isn't really spoken about on most, in terms of people talking about themselves, not common. So that's why I try to do it as much as I can, And for this one, it's less about putting a name or describing it, but understanding it for ourselves, Because when I say dark side, what I'm talking about is our lowest self. And for me, that would be my own lowest self. And coming to understand what that kind of looks like through day-to-day challenges in terms of, not necessarily temptations, well, kind of temptations, Actually, no, it is temptations. That's a good way for me to put it. I don't know why. Temptations. But not just temptations, you falling for that temptation. And then you recognizing how you feel when you fall for it, And a good one for that is obviously on my other channel, we'll talk about it more. But in terms of wanking, that feeling when you want to wank, we all know it, especially for us men, I don't know how it is for the girls, but I know you might have something similar. But for the guys, that feeling. And it's not like it's such a, I'm not gonna say it's not a good feeling, because it's a great feeling, and it's like it's there, and you're just like, fuck, man, like I should go to sleep, but it's like, nah, man, it just complete, it's like it turns off the logic, and I don't like to use the word logic, but the spiritual logic, it turns that off. Our dark side, that's what it does. It kind of blinds us, But it's about understanding that. But in this one, I wanted to more talk about the dark side in how it shows itself through doubts, okay? And I think if you're more like me, in the sense that you need evidence, like it needs proof, This path with God at the beginning can be very hard, And for me, throughout my life, it's been very hard because, again, God doesn't really show, like, God is so, the way that he shows himself, and again, we say he, but we say he. Don't get caught up on that. But the way that God, okay, for me, the way that God showed himself for me was such a, it's so discreet. It's so discreet right now that I can't fully comprehend what I'm tasting. And I feel like that's why we don't see God get given his true glory in the way that he's described by the mainstream. Otherwise, everyone would believe in him. Because I think it truly is an individual walk in that you really experience God. But outside of that, God's just a name in this world, really. Unless you're actually experiencing God, you don't. Because for me, until I've actually experienced, and I would say experience the freedom, the most thing for me with God, I would say, is the freedom of things that I thought I would never be free from. But it's not that I replace that thing with something else. For example, with smoking weed. When I used to smoke a lot of weed, I used to only go out to smoke weed. And we're talking about a couple months ago here. When I was going heavy into weed, I would only go out and walk and be nothing just to smoke weed. And I used to think, how on earth could I ever replace this with anything? Not even necessarily. I used to ask myself, how could I ever not go out and how could I go out and not smoke weed? I have to go out and do something, How can I go out and do nothing, But then I started going out by myself, out of nowhere, and then that's just like how it started. I would just go out. When I stopped smoking, I would just go out and I wouldn't do anything, and I would just go out and I wouldn't speak. I would have thoughts running in my head, but I wouldn't really, And then now I can see that growing into me going out. Now I go out every day now. It's more as a cry. It's a surrender. It's a cry to God. That's how it's kind of representing itself in my life at the moment. As in, I go out and I pray and I bring things to God and I say, God, I really need someone in my life right now. God, help me with this. I can feel this bothering me. The one thing I go to God a lot for right now is social media again. I want to be off this shit. I talk about this, I just want to be off it, man. It fucks with me, man. It does. I just want to, and again, the videos, I know, I always, it seems like my videos are getting a bit repetitive, but that's like, you guys are going to have to get used to that, because when I'm stuck in this, I wouldn't say stuck, but when I'm in these places, I address. Like, if you go back on my videos, I probably don't even remember half of the shit that I was talking about in other videos. Like, even in the lot, it's because, again, it's antenna, it's just beat bang, beat bang, beat bang. So the video is just one way, it stays as evidence, but don't get caught up. I know we do a lot of repeating on the channel, but that's the point. Repetition is key, but trying to get at these key points, because it's not like we're addressing bullshit or the same bullshit. This is key, head on, you know. But as I was saying, I want to be free. I just want to be free. And it's not like, again, for me, it's not like it's attaining to a certain thing that I want to be doing or whatever. I just want to be free. I just want to be free from that feeling that there's something out there for me that isn't God. But at the same time, I still want to enjoy the things that are good, you know? Like when I watch good YouTube or good, and I said I watch Brenda Alchemy, spiritual restaurant channels like that, good YouTube, or whether that's watching a good TV show or having company. Like, I just want to have someone that I can just call. We can go out. We don't need to do anything, because with a lot of my friends, like, they just always wanted to do other shit. No, we don't need to do anything. We just go chill. There's no, you're not guarding anything from me. Like, you're not trying to put on a face for me. We're just raw talking about God, you know? That's what free is to me. And again, I said I wasn't going to attain it to a certain thing, but I would say if I was to attain it to something, I would just attain it to God. You know, that's the freedom that I want to experience for me. You know, and I can feel it though. That's the thing. I can feel it waiting for me. I'm just not there yet. And this is what I mean. I was having a conversation with my mother yesterday about how I feel like I'm in a weird position because I'm so young, but then there's these things that are happening within me. Things that is not me, but I embrace it 100%, but it's not me. It's not me because I'm young. And if we're talking about me away from this God's force within me that works within me, the way he works in the videos and the way he works on my day-to-day life, if you take that aside, and again, we look at, I won't want to just say the dark side, but just me in general, that combination of me experiencing all these things with the dark side and my higher self, you know, it's weird at the moment. It really is. It's weird, you know, and because a part of me does feel like it's just for me, because I feel like I'm walking and living the experience and of an older person, of a wiser person, you know. But then I still feel the self in me that is the lower person, that is still requiring the things that I require. And again, I understand through experience, through aging, this becomes easier. You know, it does. It becomes easier. I know this, but I haven't experienced that. I know it's experience that will free me, but I haven't experienced it. It's the contrast of that paradox of me living a life which I don't have yet, but I'm living it right now anyways, you know. And I think that also, and for everyone, I think that paradox existent for everyone in their own way, you know. Maybe mine might be a bit more accelerated, or however you want to put it, than to other people, in the sense that not many people are directly living in that contrast. But even if you look at with the majority of our desires in general, a lot of our desires attain to something that we don't currently have in general. And whether that's money, car, like we're just talking about in the general sphere of things, for the average person, for everyone really, that we always desire something we don't have. And for me, fixating that desire mostly onto this desire for me to get closer to God, it does give me the sense of, you know, like, I enjoy that, but I also understand that I have desires outside of that, you know. And that's the hardest part, because again, like literally before I made this video, I was just having these thoughts. I was battling a bit, with this whole sense of like, what am I doing? But like, it's like the lower self is speaking to me, and it's, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing all of this? You're not supposed to be doing this, you know? And it's like, and I know it's not, I'm not saying I'm not gonna listen to that, but it's just, why is that thought even in me? I don't want that thought. I don't want that. It makes me sick, you know? And that's what I was saying with my mum as well when I was speaking to her yesterday. I was saying, man, like, this shit, some of this shit in this world is making me sick, like, for me to go through it, you know, whether that's being with my friends and they're just talking bullshit. I can feel myself getting pulled into the bullshit. I can feel it, the words in my mouth getting, it's not me saying that. It's not it's at least not the me that I want to be saying that. It's not me, and it makes me sick, because why is that coming out of my mouth? Why are these thoughts coming into my head? Why is there something trying to disturb this relationship with that I know I want to pursue it, because of all the suffering that I've had with my school life and my general life and what I've done, the decisions that I've made, not off the back of the same thoughts that I'm having in those moments, you know, like, as in that moment of rejecting God, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You know, why is that coming out? I questioned that. I said, why is that coming out of my mouth? Why are these thoughts in me? You know? And I remember there was a verse in the Bible. I'm not sure who, it was in the New Testament. And I know it goes something like this. It says, and I don't know who, it's Paul, one of these man. There might be in Romans, it's near Romans, I think. But one of these man, and he's saying, I know, he's basically saying what I'm saying, in the sense that there's these thoughts, and things that happen in me that I know isn't me, yet I do them anyway, you know. And then he speaks about how God is the only one that can free him, you know. And that's what I want to kind of come full circle to now, when I speak about our lower self, you know, our self that requires these desires, you know, and that's kind of caught up in the body, you know, because that's the best way that I can kind of put it. Because when I speak about my lower self is definitely caught up in the body, you know. Because as much as I enjoy the God talk and the semen retention and all of this stuff, the lifestyle habits, as much as I enjoy it, there's also a part of me that is pulled to the other side, you know. Because of that, even though the experience in my life has been rich, even though it's been, I would call it minimal because I'm young, it's been rich in my experience, there are still gaps, you know, there's still space, cracks, you know, that I still haven't fulfilled. Yet I'm in a position of which I've been able to, through the practices and the acceleration that I've gone through, I can kind of feel God peace, if you know what I mean. I can feel what I would feel more the more I do it. I have a taste, you know, but that taste is enough, but it's not enough, you know. That's why I say this is a walk with God. It's a walk. Again, it's hard for me to put these into words. So this is why I do like it, because if it was my duty to kind of explain myself, explain exactly what I'm feeling, if that was to people that don't understand it, like if that was the purpose of this channel or just anything that I make, to be honest, with my football channel, that's what I see it kind of like a parent, because it's like the football channel is where I can kind of express a more teaching side, you know. But the deeper you go in my channels, man, like this channel is just, you have to get it, because it's just me expressing as much as I can with nothing. There's no nothing. I'm just trying to express this as best as I can. So then future me or anyone else that's experiencing something like this can at least have a pointer to say it's not just you, you know. And then that way I can kind of get a grasp of other people and see how, you know, if they're just, you know. And again, that's why I say spiritual resonance. Without that, man, I wouldn't be able to ground myself, because I wouldn't know any practice, like as in I wouldn't know. I would have to gone look for all different types of practices and shit. I would have run through bare religions. I would have been a Buddha, I would have been everything. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a religion. I kind of just see it now as there's no restriction now, Because now I know that I can just take a drink from all religion, because I'm settled in the sense that God is everything. I'm settled in that now. There's no dogma left in me. I'm not pulled to a certain religion or a certain framework. The only dogma that is left to tackle is the spiritual dogma of the self, you know? And again, that's the dark side operating again, but it's training. And when I say spiritual dogma, and I would say the way that I experienced this for myself was when for example, and I've spoken about this before, again, I know, but when I would just be in town, like I'll just be floating around in town, and then there's this church group called Charis Church, and my sister's part of them. And then what they do is essentially they go in the streets and then they're preaching to try, but then there's more identity, because again, they're trying to bring people into their specific church, and then their church already has its own problem, you know. At least, and this is my opinion, if you go there, that's cool, but in my opinion, the church, the whole construct is the one that's destroying the people within it. Like, it's eating itself up, in my opinion, you know. Even though it's in the name of God, it's eating itself up. And I think that's the consequence with a lot of dogma religion. Even with me, it eats me up. Because I would explain now. When I see these men on the street, you know, it's head on. You know, like, you know, is it the pigs that do, or the bulls? One of them. Just head on. We're going back and forth. But I'm in a position already where God is already giving me the high ground. You know, and I know that. God's giving me the high ground because what I'm saying actually has weight. Because I know that. And that's not to say what he's saying don't have weight. But I know that what I'm saying has the weight in the sense that I'm not in his position. Because I can kind of see, if you follow the religious dogma thing, then you're on a path of more collective. You're on a path of more collective God understanding, collective everything understanding. So you kind of go along the lines of what other people say and do, which doesn't mean that you're not experiencing what I experience. And again, I feel like for me, I experience more of an individual level, where church doesn't work for me, or any of these, it don't work for me. Like, I'm more individual with what I'm experiencing. But then some people, what they're experiencing is collective experience, you know. But then again, because I'm in the individual and I can't really conceptualize the collective, I think, how the fuck can you be collective? Even though the individual's higher than the collective, that's calm. But I still get that thought, like, what the fuck? I'm still low level individual. So I'm saying, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck can you be collective? And then collective already, because the whole point of collective base is that, like, what the fuck? How can you be individual? You know? I get brought down to collective level. I get brought down to the collective level of individual. And again, it's not to scale these things up. You'll get confused if you scale it too much, you know? That's why I'm not trying to get caught up in that. But what the picture that I'm trying to paint is that by me creating my own dogma, my own individual dogma, I'm essentially practicing the same thing that these dogmatic religions do anyways. Because I'm saying what I'm saying is right, what you're saying is wrong. It's all right. It's all pointing towards God. I was caught up in the collective. One day collective wasn't for me. God comes back now in the individual package. It's all the same. It just gets more realer. The more that you say, oh shit, that don't work for me, the more realer it gets with the experience. Again, we come back to experience. With experience, the more realer it gets. It's just like that, you know? So, as I was saying, the dark side, you know, let's come back to the dark side. Because again, we've been speaking about the dark side. But we can't think of the dark side as this bad thing. It's not this bad, it's training. And depending on what level you're on, the harder the training. I feel like for me, because of the levels of going up, I'm aware of that. And I'm experiencing the benefits of that. I can't be sat here and be mad that my training that I'm getting through the fucking thoughts in my head are so sickening to make me vomit, of course. You know? Like, even Jesus had to go through this training, bro. You know? He embraced the training. My man went to the fucking desert 1v1 with the training. That's 1v1 training, 40 days. Obviously, it might not be exactly that, but that's what that story is trying to show. 1v1 training. You go there. When you're on the individual, you get me, and the collective is, you know, you go there right to the dark depths of within yourself, you know? Because again, it makes sense, because with Jesus, like, even in the things that the devil was saying to Jesus, you have to see how that was specific to him. because Jesus had the duty to influence the world. So the devil brings him the question of saying, oh, I'll bring you the golds and the wealth, you know? And then the other one was that Jesus can't die. So then, or whatever, like Jesus is aware of his infiniteness to a T. So then the devil says, oh, prove it. So jump and prove it, you know? Like, you have to see how God prescribes us the exact TV show in our existence. Exactly what we need to be watching and hearing and seeing and experiencing. God provides exactly the right training for us that we can handle, you know? And the whole point is of course Jesus brushed it, because Jesus is high level. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm Jesus level. don't like, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying I'm getting my own training, you know? But Jesus should be an example, because Jesus is showing that foundation of rock. It's the foundation, you know? And that's what I spoke about on my football channel the other day. And I'm going to wrap up with this. Fundamentals. It comes down to the fundamentals. It always comes down to the fundamentals, the foundation. The man who builds his house on the rock, you know? It comes down to that. You got to build your house on the rock. You got to know what you believe in. You got to know your dark side. You got to know. You have to know it, like how this fucking stick is whatever. This, you can't see it, but this wood is wood. You have to know how that wood is wood. Your dark side is your dark side. And you have to own it. You have to know it's you. You know? And that you have to know that it's your training. It's your opposition. You know? In a football game, if I had no opposition, what's the point in playing? And if that opposition is not hard, what's the point in playing even more? If I'm playing against like fucking under 8s or 12-year-olds, like obviously I play against my brother, but that's more to train him. I'm more acting as the trainer. I'm the dark side for him, because he has that gap, you know, where he's struggling. It's hard, you know? But it's training. I'm never going to snap him or kill him. I'm not going to go too hard that he can't handle it, you know? Even though I'm still going hard, I know what I'm giving him is enough for him to improve. And God is doing that on God's own level for each and one of us, you know? As hard as it is, and I can't speak for what some of you guys might be going through. I can only speak for what I've gone through. But I can speak that for what I've gone through, fucking hell, it felt like I was never going to get through that. That's the one thing I address. Some of the shit that, bro, like what I said with the school things, the girl things, like even the girl things right now, bro, it just feels like I'm not going to meet another girl. Like, it just feels like that. It's just like, oh my God, like, am I ever going to meet another girl? Like, what the fuck? Like, I haven't spoken to a girl like that in so long. You know, that feeling of inevitable, which is the consequence of the present, it's the consequence of time. We can only see what we're going through right now, and only flickers of the memories of the things that we've gone through in the past can kind of keep us going, you know. But the flickers do keep us going, otherwise we would just all kill ourselves, you know. So the underlying point of this video, and this is a good video, I enjoyed this video, it felt very free and no book today, like no nothing. Obviously, and I like the books, but it's like, sometimes you just got to go in raw, man. You know, raw. But the underlying thing that I just want to close off with is just remember, you know, just remember that God will never prescribe something to us that we can't handle. You know? And at least our future self can't handle. As much as difficult it is now, our highest self was born, the highest self, if we're talking about the highest infinite self that we will never infinitely see, the highest version of ourselves, you know, that's light work. Whatever you've gone through is light work, because it's infinite away, and we need to just catch up to him or her. We need to catch up to him or her infinite highest self, closest version to God. And I don't mean, oh wait, God, so we can do everything, like, you know, I create that world. I mean on our individual level of experience, that higher self, we need to catch up. You know, and we do that through living experience, you know. And I'm young, you might be old, but just remember, it's a walk. It's not a marathon, it's not a jog, it's not a sprint, it's a walk. It's a walk back to the Lord. An infinite walk. But this was a good one. Thank you very much.